Rule number 3, no mutual mystification. Accountability requires clarity of expectations. You know, in today's environment as a sales leader, we don't get to spend as much time as we want with our people. As a matter of fact, I believe that we're in the paper business versus the people development business. So every interaction that we have with our people should be as effective and as efficient as possible. We also want to set the stage to show them how to create clarity in every interaction that we have with our buyers. So how do we do that? Well, in the sales world, if we're using the upfront contract as a concept, and that's really what we're doing to avoid mutual mystification, we have things that we're going to cover from a sales perspective into a prospect. One is purpose. Why are we here today? Oftentimes, the salesperson won't even cover that because, of course, they know they agreed to the appointment. It's not true. People are running from call to call to call, and they have forgotten why you're here. So you've got to remind them. Number 2, time. We talked about 60 minutes. Is that still good? When you validate the time, you're minimizing the opportunity for the prospect to do the following about 20 minutes into a 60-minute call. It sounds really interesting, but I've got a ton of stuff going on today. Could you just capture what we've talked about, put it into a proposal, which I can share with the rest of the team that's not here today, and I'll get back to you. We may take that as a victory, but that's just a push, right? So we want to validate the time, so if we have less time, we can adjust appropriately up front. Agenda. Your agenda and my agenda. So your agenda is a buyer. I want to know what that is before I start. Why? It's respectful. B, I get to change my call based on what's important to you. People don't listen and don't participate in a sales call until they know you're going to cover what's important to them. But you also want to share your agenda as well. You want to get them ready. I'm going to ask you some questions about maybe your top 2 or 3 issues that you're currently having with XYZ company. What have you tried to do to fix that? And have you looked at anyone else like us in the past? So I'm getting them ready for the questions that I'm going to ask. And then finally, outcome. What are you going to decide at the end of today's call? You know, based on today's call, we could be in a position to say, it doesn't make any sense based on what you're experiencing, and I know what we're great at, there may be a disconnect. But if there is a fit, then the next step could be that we should probably get together for a little more time with the other appropriate people and kind of dig deep into those issues. Does that make sense? And so I agree upon a next step before we start, versus springing it on in 57 minutes into a call saying, I think it makes sense to sit down with your senior leadership. I'd like to set up a call. Whoa! When you don't tell people what you're going to close for at the end, you automatically get I want to think it over. Now let's move this to sales leadership. You should be covering upfront contracts all the time in your coaching, on your phone calls with them, in your debriefs, in your training, and when you go on joint calls with your people as well. As much as you can minimize mutual mystification, everyone will benefit. But if you can cover those topics and just have a mindset to set the stage of every interaction that you have with your people, you're going to be better off. The bottom line is, no mutual mystification increases productivity. Good luck.
The Sandler Rules for Sales Leaders are available now at Amazon or Sandler.com. You can click on the player now to watch the previous video, or click subscribe now to get notified about future sales tips.